What a view, right? It was raining today. I went out to Site 5E. I did find these two, which were day makers. I thought I might find a whole lot more. I often hope, but you don't always. I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, I found some other artifacts, and I want to show you some things here today and just do a wrap up of the week, a cleanup. I haven't done it. I tried to clean up yesterday. It messed up. Just wasn't happy with it. I mean, look at this point. We're going to look at these two that I found today first, because I've got a weekly dozen that I really haven't shown the cleanup on. I mean, look for yourself. My gracious. You might think, if you tune into Indian Trace, that my weeks just work out this way. Sometimes they do. Often they don't. But I tried to do a cleanup of these yesterday. It didn't work, like I said, so I got rid of it, and I want to try to approach it a different way. Sometimes with a different heart, just comes across better. But just some phenomenal pieces this week as the spring begins here, as the earth is made ready to harvest some of these North American Indian, ancient Indian artifacts. None of these here, in my opinion, deserved at all another pass from the plow. Not at all. So let's take a look at these today. I was at the Hawk, and just the tail of the Hawk is ready, which really all I need to know about. Now, one other person in the world might know what I mean when I say the Hawk. This piece of rhyolite's nice. The patina on it is full and complete. Nothing's broken. Just a great point. Long stem. Stem might be just broken right there. No big deal. Can't get too picky about that. I don't know if my focus is coming in at all. Right off of there where it was a little concave base. But it was a nice point. Worth saving. But here was the one, of course, that I was hoping for. I always hope for points like this. One of my favorite styles, often repeated. I'm picking up glass, stone, quartz. It's always great to feel quartz in the hand. Of course, this atlatl tip is just great. The workmanship on it to me is great, durable, straightforward, produced to accomplish the goal it needed to make. Unbelievable. How representative. Look at this piece, right? I'm hoping the light in here is just perfect this morning here, this afternoon. Look at that base. It's a great point. It was a great find. This one I found at Sun Hill, and was just before I left. Usually that's the way it is. I mean, take a look at this piece. I love it. So that was today's find. Today's find of the day, I guess. It's fantastic in quartz. Loved it. So those two, you can't be too displeased with it. Now I did pull a handful of other just, I hate to say basic. I always hate to say the word basic for when it comes to artifacts, because they weren't basic at all. But I did pull some other great artifacts, and was happy as can be about them. Why not? Why not? And the rest of them really have floated in from Notchville. Just a day out there. Maybe a couple days. And we've already had a reset. The reset was a pretty steady, hard rain that's been coming in today. Hopefully it'll rain some more. We've had at least an inch. So with the way the dirt is in some places, I call that a resetting. Look at these points. Points from Notchville. In rhyolite, full patina. And then in quartz. The base is not broken, it's just a snapped off base. I've seen many, many points they make that are this way. Just to give everybody a good look at these, just for the workmanship and what they do here in eastern central North Carolina. Just a straightforward point, made out of material that is just brutal, super hard. Once they could get it done, it was ready to go. I mean, it wasn't going to break. No flesh, no bone was going to break that. It was going to work. The business end of a strong North American Indian who knew how to use an atlatl. I'd sure hate to see one of those coming at me. They'd do the job, break bone, flesh, right to the vitals, and that's just the bottom line why they kept making it. Of course, I pulled this scraper. I'm doing them in sets here, and this piece of smoky quartz at the top. Great little piece here. That's what notch fill. And we look at this, if I pan right back out just real quick here, if you look at those points right there in that setup, whenever you hear me say the term, and it's in Site 3, notch fill, that's what we're talking about. And say I found 400 artifacts there. Say I found 5. I always multiply it by 10. So if I found 500, there's 5,000 there that are preserved, that are in the dirt, that are ready to be saved. And I just have to take my opportunities when the machines work with me to get out there and see what I can save. Look at that scraper. Nice piece. Can't go wrong with a good scraper, right? So I wanted to give you a good show of that with the right lighting in here. Sort of get my camera around and look for the right angle so you can be up close and personal to some ancient North American Indian artifacts that were found out there. Let's get these two up here. Guilford. A Guilford round. 4,500, 5,000 BC. I don't know about this notch point, which is fantastic above it. I don't know what the date is on that. If it's similar, I don't even know what type it is, so that it's just in archaeological circles what they've named it. Leaf points, I guess you call these Guilfords. Always happy to find them for some reason. They're just perfectly simple. Perfectly simple. So, was real happy to find these, going through and taking some time that day. This piece, of course, all of these in one way or another have been captured on video through my notch fill series. But here, where it's perfectly clean and pristine, I can pick them up, I can show you, give you an idea of what they look like, maybe in some essences how they were made, how they were reduced off the back edge. Look at the base on that. Crystal quartz. Mercy. Hard. My goodness. Talk about an armor-piercing tip. Once you get this suited up, no matter what, they don't need to be big, you know, they don't need to be as big as this thing. I mean, look at the difference in size here. Don't need to be. Half the size right here, maybe. Definitely don't need that to do the job. Nice looking pieces though. So, and I will say this as we look at these 2 points right here, it could have just as easily been that these 2 points right here alone represent my week's best finds, period. And that's all there was. It is a rare occasion, which is the reason I'm doing this, that you net a week like this, at least for me, in terms of top quality points and artifacts. So I'm happy about the spring whenever it comes, you know, and I have many different areas that I might be able to check out. 2 more sets and we'll finish up. Look at these. Mercy, right? Both captured on film, but I wanted to be able to show workmanship, how they were made, materials, things that a lot of you guys really are interested in when you look at them, because of the way you studied. You know a lot more than I do, and you look at things and go, oh, I know why they did that, or I know why they did this. To me, it's just a great contact point for the Stone Age North American Indian here. Traveling back in time, where they were magnificent men strong men, strong women. I'm going to tell you what, not one of our modern conveniences was there to suffice them. I mean, they needed to make do. They needed to make do. They needed to figure out and the complete perfect mastery of fire, heat, of tools, of food, of resources. It's crazy when you think about it. How industrious they must have been. Certainly far from being just brute beasts or savages like the Europeans would write about them so that they could extort them. They would label them a savage or without a soul or a brute beast, only for the purpose of being able to extort them, but they were magnificent in their intelligence. And here's a nice piece. If it were wet, it'd be sort of a brownish red. One of the favorite pieces of the week, but I just found so many great points right through here this week. Very humbled, very thankful always. Take a look at this piece. As always, I really appreciate all the comments, and makes a huge difference. Imagine if we didn't have a digital community, if we didn't have YouTube or anything like that, I'd still be harvesting this and collecting it the best I could for my soul. Also, I guess for my children after me, if they want something that they can tangibly have that reminds them of something that I love, a passion that I had. It's a great point, isn't it? Mercy. And what you're looking at in color, really, it is, I don't know if it's coming in, is a brownish, a nice brown flint material. I'll show you. Might as well show you. Hang on a second, we'll look at that. Hang on a second. Look at that. See what I'm talking about? The video just before this was, I went through and I tried to go to every one of my 8 sites and find the best in situ shots that just happened to come out for the last 5 years and throw them up there. When you first see them out there in the dirt or in a field, of course they're out of context. They've escaped a major machine again. But the ones you're looking at here, they don't have to escape anymore. The ones you found, they don't really have to escape anymore. Great piece, isn't it? My word. Great piece. And so, the great thing is, we can go out there and we can make sure that these pieces, at least to the best of our ability, to the best of your strength, and my last set right here is this set right here, to the best of your ability, is not shredded up anymore. Look at these two. Mercy, right? Great pieces to seek and save. I can't even imagine all the sites that I have, and if I never collected them, what would be happening, and I would have known no different, been none the wiser, but the machines would have been going up, and many of these points, many of the points that I found would have been being busted up, nicked up, shredded up, put through a blender 3, 4, 5 times a year. These pieces, they speak of a people that were resilient and intelligent. I'm not sure my focus is working the way I want it to. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic, right? Resilient. Look how they reduced it right there so they could haft it in. Nice piece of rhyolite, to say the least. And what impresses me when I check out a piece that they made or celebrate their life the best I can with it is how incredibly industrious they must have been. Just take heat, for example. I was so reduced as we finish up here this week, maybe 3 days ago. 19-degree wind chill. 7 layers on, Arctic expedition mittens and hat. 2 hats, as a matter of fact. It was a 2-hat day. Look at this piece. great find a couple days ago at Notchville. And with all that clothes and resource on, I knew that these Indians were living right where I was. I knew they didn't have all the modern clothing, footwear. They had to make everything they wore. They had to figure it out. They had to become resilient to the cold, and it's plenty cold. It was plenty cold then. From here to Canada, though, the North American Indian have been thriving. Nice point, right? Out of courts. Gotta love that. I mean, the week is a little mind-blowing to me. And so when I go out there, I often am touched and moved, as I am today. And I was out there in the rain and everything today. I think they were pretty much indifferent to the weather. It was just part of who they were. Don't think they complained too much. I think it was just part of how it all was. Nice view, isn't it? And so they would just adjust and adapt, move forward, live their life, get the food they needed. So as we finish up, looking at these sets of a dozen incredible, great finds this week. And like I said, I found 3 times as much, but it's all in the C4 artifacts bin that I have. I'll either put them around my koi pond or what have you. See, that piece is drying up now as we finish up. And today's impression really with the rain and everything is just to remember, when I find these, they're an indication. They sort of speak of their strength, of their resilience as a North American Indian. It would have been great to see them living and relating, the men and the women. Would have been great, right? And so back to the ones that I found today, with just a little show and tell of the great stuff that you can find out there, either where you are or here in eastern central North Carolina. That is a fantastic group representing the week's, just a great dozen for the week. Can't do any better than that, right? Whew. Appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace. And that right there, well, that's Indian Trace. Hope you find out there. And be thankful.